Let's make some cards using your punches. Today we're going to make some super cute character cards, including a snowman, a gnome, and a penguin, only using your punches. So pull out your stash of a patterned paper and cardstock and grab those punches that you have on hand. But if you don't have punches, it's okay. Grab your dies. We're going to use some pretty basic shapes to make these super cute cards. Let's build our first card with penguins and building a winter scene. For the cutie paper penguin, this one's so sweet. We're going to do a large circle. Now you could change up your circles to be any size you want. We need one large black circle, and then you need a circle that is just a little bit smaller for the wings. That's also in black. Same size circle for the white. This is going to be for the belly of the penguin. So to see a size comparison, it's just a little bit smaller. So if you started with this size of circle, just go down a tiny bit. We need a couple of white eyeballs, and I just have, a little paper punch. But if you've got some small dies, if punches are not your jam, if you've got dies, but a little paper punch is great. And lastly, we need our little beak and our feet. So I've got a tiny little heart that's gonna use for both of them. So we need 3 little hearts. 1, 2, 3, and they like to fly. So let's assemble. A little bit of glue in the center. We're gonna go a little bit south of the center, and that's where we're gonna put our white. So if you notice, I'm going a little bit closer to the bottom, but still seeing a little bit of that black. Come in with your scissors, and we're gonna trim off the wings. Basically, I'm taking my circle and I'm cutting off on a diagonal. It don't have to be perfect. And I'm just cutting off corners. So you have a little pie shape left behind. And then you're gonna place those on either side of the white circle for the wings. Just like that. It's okay if they come kind of off a little bit, because the wings do come off the body a tiny bit. Next, we're gonna do the beak, and we're gonna take our little heart and we're gonna cut off the bottom. So we have a little triangle and get rid of the top. So now we have our cutie little beak. Add some glue right there. Beak, face, nose down, and now we're gonna add our little eyeballs. Now you can play around with this in terms of the size of the white on the tummy. You can have it be really close to size, which means it fills up the entire space, or you can have it be even smaller. Because my tummy is close to size, my little eyeballs kind of stick off the top, which is super cute. So a little tiny bit of glue right there on the bottom of the foot. So now we have the heart shape upside down, and just glue that down right there. Same thing for the other foot. This is why I like using a wet glue for this, because I can tweak and move it around and make sure it's exactly where I want it. And lastly, just a black pen to help give you your little eyeballs. Now, I don't like having my eyeballs looking straight at me. I like having all of my characters, their eyes looking off to the side. Otherwise, they look like they're scared. This now looks like the little penguin is looking to the side and super cute. So this is my big penguin for the card, but then I also have a baby penguin. So if you notice, the eyeballs on the baby penguin are fully onto the black versus sticking up at the top. They both look super cute, and now it's time to add them to our card. So we're going to place our snowflake paper down, and that is gonna go towards the top. And now we're gonna build our snowdrifts. I like to make my bottom snowdrift to be a little bit smaller so I can fit a stamped element on here. This is gonna be my bottom layer, which I have room to put a stamp down here at the bottom. Now I'm gonna come in and I'm just gonna trim this up. So this already has a nice swoosh. I just cut the bottom element. And I don't wanna line it up too matchy-matchy, so I think I'm gonna flip this around. So we're gonna make 3 snowdrifts. It just creates layers so you can add in your elements. And then now we're gonna do one final one, and then this one will go the other direction. If you're noticing, I'm flipping back between 2 different kinds of scissors. I do like my precision scissors for things like the mountains and when I do the snow peaks, but for when I'm doing the snow drifts, I like a longer scissor barrel. I use different scissors for different purposes depending on if I want intricate cuts or nice long cuts. So we're gonna make some snow peaks. I'm gonna do 3 mountains, so I'm just gonna cut them. I could use my big scissors for this, but I'm gonna be going back and forth. We're gonna tuck that in, and that looks pretty mountainous to me. And I might adjust my sew drifts as soon as I start building my card, which is why nothing is glued down yet. So you're super easy, you're just cutting up to a peak. If you feel like your peak is a little too peaky, you can do a tiny bit of a round. Now to make the snow drifts, all I do is I come in and I take our white sheet of paper, I line it up in the corner, and then I kind of cut, basically trace this the same in white. So just trace around your gray mountain, and I picked, a pretty gray, and this is just white cardstock. I'm gonna have it go to about here, and now I'm just gonna go little loop-de-loops. So it looks like the snow is kind of coming. Little roundy loop-de-loops, round it up, and then this fits right back on our mountain, just like that. And that's how you make a snow-peaked mountain. Now before I get too far, we're gonna go ahead and glue the snow-capped mountains in place. So just grab your wet glue, or you could use your tape runner, and then just make sure that they're nice and snug exactly where you want them to be. So there we go. all nice and glued. Now we're gonna rebuild this a little bit because I may have my snowdrifts be a tiny bit too high. So I start with my bottom piece again. I go in with my second layer. And the beautiful thing about this is I can always, instead of going just to the edge, I can make the snowdrift be super tall, or I can drop it down and have it be snug against the edge. So now I'm gonna place my mountains in here. And I can see more of my mountain, which is what I want. And I'm gonna have some layered on be higher or lower. I can always trim them as I'm placing them in. I'm gonna have 2 snug together and then 1 with a little bit of a gap. That's how I'm gonna put my mountains in. So let's go ahead and glue this layer down right here. For this, I will do my tape runner. I'm just gonna do the bottom. That's it. I'm just adding adhesive to the bottom. And I just wanna leave my mountains there so I can see kind of approximately right about there is where I want it. That looks good. Pop my little mountains out. And then I'll build going down. So I'm gonna put this layer on. So I want that layer about there. And I'm gonna hold off on my third and final bottom layer because I wanna stamp this first before I place this down. So let's put our mountains in now. It goes in right about there. Second mountain, I'm actually gonna trim a tiny bit off the bottom because I want it to be shorter so it looks like it's got a little bit of some perspective, distance perspective, and I got taller. So now everything's super matchy-matchy. There's our second mountain. And then we have our third mountain off to the side because we have a valley in the middle. But you can build this however you want. So there is our third mountain. Go ahead and stamp that up. And now we're gonna add this layer to our card. So add it to the bottom. Now we have our cutie little penguins we're gonna add in. I'm gonna have one kind of standing out in front. I'm gonna have this little guy kind of poking out from behind. So now they look like they're standing opposite each other. This is where the layers, and you can definitely see there's different snowdrifts happening. But we also want to add some other elements. This is where our trees come in. So I happen to have this amazing tree punch, which is fantastic. And I picked out a sheet of paper, again, from my stash, that one side was a light green and the other side is a dark green. So when I punch it, because it's got 2 trees, I can also flip them around and get a couple of different colors. So I'm just going to punch out a bunch of trees. Now, if you don't have a super cute tree punch and you're wanting to make trees, all you need to do is come in and do little triangles like that. That would be super cute. And you can do them different heights. So just like I was doing here. So you can come in and you can do tall, skinny ones, big fat ones, and that totally looks like a tree. It would work, not a problem, if you don't have a tree punch. I'm lucky, I happen to have one. Who knows where I picked it up from? And now it's time to build. So I'm gonna have a little cluster of trees right here. I'm gonna go light, and I'm gonna go dark. And I'm just placing them for now before I actually glue them down. And I'm gonna do another dark one behind. Here's where another layer is, right here. So I wanna emphasize that layer. So this time I'm just gonna do a pair of trees. Our little penguins fit right there. And it looks like you've got layers happening within your tree. Now we're gonna go ahead and use glue for all of this, just so I can manipulate them and maneuver them around. So a little bit of wet glue, one goes there. Let's do these little trees right here. And so here are my cute cards. Now, if you notice, I did different size penguins. So here I have my big chunky penguin with my biggest circle with another size circle. Here I did, these are the same size back circles with front circles. So it's kind of an in-between size penguin. And then I have a little baby penguin, which I had two. So I actually had 4 different sizes of circles, and I played around with having big bellies or little bellies or medium size or small size penguins and just having fun. Obviously the setup is the same idea in terms of the trees. It kind of mimicked the same concept, but you can change this up to be however you want. I also had one sheet of snowflake paper. It was my last one that I cut in half and sized it. So I used the darker side, and it was a gradient. There was a darker to lighter. So this one had the darker and this one had the lighter, but you could also just use a light blue paper and have tons of fun. Let's make our second card, which is making a super cute little gnome. There we go. We're gonna hit this. This is gonna be the hat of our gnome. We have our belly of the gnome. A little secondary belly, the beard, and the mustache, the little feet, and the nose. A little bit of glue on our gnome body, and we're gonna cut off 2 little feet. So just a little bit of glue on the foot, stick it right there. And you can angle these however you want. If you want to make them up or down, or however you want to do that. Now we're going to do the beard. We're going to trim off the little top section right here. And for the mustache, we're gonna cut off the top at a little bit of an angle to make the mustache out of our heart. So you just need that piece. So add our glue to the top of our heart. This is for the hat. And it goes right in there. I like to tilt it just because it makes it a little more interesting. Then we're gonna do our mustache, or our beard. So here is our beard. And then our little mustache. A little glue on there for our mustache. Stick that down. Do you see the gnome coming together now? A last little dot of glue, just a little smidgen, and our little nose. Craft sheet of paper, which I'm using my Xyron Mega Runner. And this is just matting it 1/4 inch lower on all sides. So looking at our gnome, we have the stripes for the head and we have the little sprinkles for the body. So we're gonna flip them. We're gonna put the sprinkles on the top and we're gonna put the stripes on the bottom, just for a change of pace. So we're gonna glue those down. And to make this not so obvious that we have a separation, that's what this pink sheet of paper is. It ties in with the pink on the gnome's body and also the pink on the striped sheet of paper, of which all of these papers came from the Catherine Pooler Milk and Cookies collection. I absolutely think that's the cutest little paper collection. And then if you just place this gnome on there, it's kind of floating around. It looks cute, but we're gonna create a little bit of a match with our other papers. And then we have our little gnome. So everything should be fairly dry by this point. So we're just gonna add some adhesive to the back of it. Put our gnome up high right there. And for just a little bit of added interest, we're going to fishtail our warm wishes. So you can really have fun with all of your pattern papers, making cutie gnomes with shapes that you might already have. And if you don't have this particular leaf punch for the beard, you could do a few things. You could use a scallop circle for a beard. That would look super cute. Just cut off a portion of the top. You could also do a different leaf, or you can hand cut that. So many options, but I bet you have something that's got a little peak here. You could even put a little pom-pom on the top or a little something at the top there if you like. Pull out your punches, and if you don't have punches, I bet you have some dies that could work so you could assemble your own cutie gnomes to make cards. And let's build our third card, which is a snowman fractured card. We're gonna start off by punching a circle, super easy. And then we're gonna do 5 little black circles. So these are for the mouth of our snowman. So 1, 2, 5. And then you're gonna make a long nose. So just grab a orange that looks like a carrot, you know, whatever and then a nice long, tall triangle that fits for a nose. They don't have to be all the same, you can change it up. These 2 elements right here are part of the card. This is actually a 2 by 2 inch square that's craft, and this is a 2.5 by 2.5 inch square. Glue those together first. All right, now our snowman's gonna go on the diagonal. So circle down first, grab your glue, stick your glue down, and then we're gonna do our nose first. And our snowman's looking up, so we're actually not gonna have eyes, we're gonna have our nose and then a smile. So super, super simple. And I'm just gonna put dots where I want the smile to go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then just place your little black dots, because that's like the coal for the mouth. Now we're gonna assemble our card. This is called a fractured card. It looks super complicated, but it's really super easy. Glue the top layer down first. So I picked out a piece of paper. This came from the Milk and Cookies because it had little snowmans on it. I thought it was perfect for this card. Next, we're gonna place down our actual snowman on a diagonal, so it's a diamond shaped. So glue that bad boy up. And that fits right about there. Now, this is where the strips come in. These strips are 1/4 inch each, which is the same width as this right here. So if I was gonna measure that, that's why this is 2 and this is 2.5. It gives you 1/4 inch or a 0.25 inch. And we're gonna start off by placing our first strip. This time we're gonna go with some wet glue. First strip up with this corner. It doesn't matter which corner you start off with, just pick a corner. We're gonna take our next piece of paper strip and we're gonna line it up starting at that corner, going all the way down. So see what's happening so far? We're just adding paper strips going in a diagonal pattern, going around the square and go all the way down to the edge, past the white mat. And then our last strip, and we're gonna go from this corner past where we started. And then it makes that full complete square. Now we're gonna take our scissors and we're gonna flip this over and we're gonna trim off any excess. I like doing it from the back side because I can just see it easier. It gives a nice clean cut. And it gives it that fractured look, which is really easy. You could pick out whatever colors, and obviously you could do this with any other type of card. This is just one variation. And then our background for this is gonna be craft. So go ahead and fold this down. Again, this is an A2 size card. Get out of the way, card. And so now when this comes up to the mat, It looks like these pieces right here have been placed onto the card, so it looks like it's fractured and floating. When I did it just to the mat, you can see the difference. They both work. It's just a matter of, I think I like this one a little bit better because it goes a little further, but you know, it just depends on what you like. But they're super easy, super simple. And again, the main focal part of the card is using punches or just your paper trimmer. Super easy. So going backwards to the cards we did the Snowman fractured card. We did the Build a Scene penguin card, so adorable. And then we did our cutie little Gnome cards, all using punches or your scissors. No fancy equipment required. You probably already have some super cute pattern papers that you could use to build these cards, or you could just do solid cardstock and no pattern paper needed. Hopefully these cards have inspired you to pull out your punches and your cardstock and use up your stash. You don't need to buy extra supplies to make some super cute, adorable cards. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I will see everybody next time. Bye-bye.